Well, this Friday, the 30th day of January, 2009, has flown by fast. Went over to Scripps, saw a couple of doctors, got appointments to see a whole bunch more the 24th of February. Got home around here working on sketching a couple of videos. Had another tooth fall out. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that makes number 3 in the last 5 or 6 months. I don't know what's going on, but that baby just sheared off as neat as can be. No pain. That's nice. But I did go in and ask Donna, are you going to love me when I'm a toothless grandpa? She said she would, so things aren't looking too bad. And I suppose instead of being toothless, you end up getting a set of plates. I don't know. Worry about it tomorrow or the next day. Anyway, that first semester of college and the first summer after being in college went by mighty fast. The first thing you know, it's the beginning of a new school year. And you know, that's when they pledge all these sororities and big shot organizations in the big fancy colleges and at Phillips University. No sororities, no Greek organizations of any kind. But they had what they called service clubs. Service clubs for girls and separate, I suppose equal, service clubs for men. And the word was kind of around amongst us that the Gridiron, they're probably the strongest club. They're kind of the, the guys that got a little money and a little prestige and so on. They probably don't have much use for us old vets, and we kind of tended not to have too much use for them, although I suppose they had their fair share of vets. I don't know. I know there's a bunch of us in Varsity, and Varsity is where my friend Bob Gray and I decided to go. And they accepted us. You become pledges officially, and the first thing you're told by the pledge captain is that you've got to make or buy a paddle made out of a 1 by 6 inch thick, which isn't really an inch, and 6 inches wide, which really isn't 6 inches wide. It's, I suppose, 4.5, 5 inches wide. Might even be 5.5. Makes a pretty substantial paddle, and the way it was built, had a nice handle on it, had a hole in the handle, put a leather thong on it so you could hang it up and so on. But it came with a piece of paper glued to one side, and your first task was to find each of the members of the club and take a swat from them and get their signature, part of getting to be a member. Sounded like a bunch of foolishness, but okay. And I thought maybe George Warren Campbell was a bit of a softy. Might even thought he was a bit of a sissy. But anyway, I asked him first, and I think he was insulted to be asked first. Man, I don't remember just where we were, but we were somewhere on the eastern part of that campus and in front of some sort of a building that had like a little flower bed around it. And I bent over on that sidewalk, and I was too casual. That boy nearly parked me on my nose. Woohoo! You talk about a stinger. I remembered that name well, and of course probably should have anyway remembered it, because the Campbells, we Disciples of Christ people, were known in many circles in the early days of that religion as the Campbellites, because Reverend Campbell was one of the founders of the Christian church, the Disciples of Christ church. Well, I suppose that even though we got all the signatures and did everything well, Bob and I must have offended. Now, I think it was Bob. Might have been one of my other buddies. But I believe it was Bob Gray and I. We got kidnapped. I came back on campus late one evening and, lived right there on campus or just across the street from the campus. And I'm headed to the house and I'm kidnapped. And, okay, fine, no big deal. By golly, they had 2 carloads. Bob was in one, I was in the other. They took us out into the country, blindfolded us first, took us out in the country, and the first thing you know, you're being paddled, bent over, and whop, 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 whop. Damn. Enough is enough, but you couldn't say anything or you'd probably get more. And when they were satisfied that they'd tested their mettle or whatever the heck they were doing. They left their blindfolds on, tied their hands behind their back, and drove off in the cars. That's a pretty chicken thing to do. But they hadn't tied us real tight. We backed up to each other as soon as we were aware they were leaving and we were on our own. Didn't take very long to get untied, get blindfolds off, and look up and see that they're driving out there to the south, and going to the road and turning to the right. And you look over to the right, there's the lights of Enid. Well, we must be 3 or 4 miles out of town. So we just walked back to town. It seemed to me like a lot of foolishness. I don't know. I'll talk in another video here in a minute about high school initiation that we'd gone through, and we athletes had gotten it particularly a little rough in that one. But it seemed like to me a lot of foolishness, and I'll guarantee you that I used that paddle as a discipline tool as a teacher and a principal, but I never paddled. I never swatted anybody to help them become members of the varsity club. I don't believe I did. If I did, I don't remember it. It's amazing the things that are done, the traditions that are passed on. I hope that today there's none of that foolishness going on in the schools or in the clubs, but I suspect there's plenty of it still. Old ways die hard.